When you're living in a time when the old Romulan Empire utilising Borg technology to survive, a time when the rights of sentient life forms are not recognised, and a time where potentially the Bajorans would indoctrinate the Jem'Hadar to become their standing army, one would ask themselves, how long was that road getting from there to here? Let's find out! In the later part of the 20th century, the human race began genetic experiments to create superhumans to enhance the species. This endeavour, however, became futile as those whose genomes were enhanced, so too were their ambitions, and ambitious they were. This new superhuman race became known as the Augments, who rose to power and held dominance over a large portion of humanity beginning in the early 1990s. Amongst those notorious of these superhuman conquerors was Khan Noonien Singh, who in 1992 became the absolute ruler of more than a quarter of the planet, from Asia through the Middle East. The following year, a group of fellow supermen followed Khan's footsteps and simultaneously seized power in over 40 nations. Some were treated little more than slaves by the Augments. Khan considered himself a prince under his rule, and there were no massacres or wars of aggression until he was attacked. He was thus among the myriad of so-called tyrants into the 23rd century, being called the best of the tyrants. The Augments were eventually defeated by humans who were not genetically enhanced, and Khan was the last of the tyrants to be overthrown in 1996. Khan and over 80 of the supermen were condemned to die as war criminals. They however went unaccounted for, a fact the governments of the time did not disclose to the public in order to prevent panic. Rumours were later confirmed in the 23rd century that Khan and 84 of his followers had managed to flee the planet on board an early sleeper ship, the SS Botany Bay. Of course, this was not the last of humanity's follies, as within 30 years the Third World War began. World War III was the last of Earth's three world wars. The conflict involved nuclear cataclysm as well as genocide and eco-terrorism. The war started in 2026 over the issue of genetic manipulation and human genome enhancement, and lasted up until 2053. It resulted in the death of some 600 million humans. By the end, most of the major cities destroyed and there were very few governments left. Of course, World War III would only be superseded by the post-atomic horror, which lasted as long as 2079, where the laws were harsh and the judges were harsher. But one man would usher a new era for humanity. This man was Zefram Cochrane. Zefram Cochrane was the inventor of Earth's first warp drive. Zefram's ship, aptly named the Phoenix, would rise from the ashes of the post-atomic horror and open the doorways to the stars. It was the event that allowed the Vulcans to initiate first contact with Earth and bring forth a fruitful future. Not long after, the United Earth was established and began building starships to explore known space via a new organisation known as Starfleet. One of the most prevalent was the NX-class USS Enterprise, under the command of Captain Archer. Of course, again, it wouldn't be too long before humanity found new enemies to fight and conflicts to win. Maybe the Vulcans were right when they said humans weren't ready to venture out of their own solar system. Starfleet would encounter many hostile races, such as the Klingons, the Xindi, the Romulans, and even the Andorians were somewhat hostile on their first encounter. After its first 5-year mission, the NX-01 Enterprise would return home, and its commander, Captain Archer, would help bring about the United Federation of Planets with the help of their new allies, the Vulcans, the Andorians, and the Tellarites, establishing a new galactic government that would not only usher a new era of peace, but also the ability to share resources and technologies, bringing forth a new Starfleet whose mandate would be to explore the galaxy under the ideals of peaceful exploration. Over the next century, a new age for humanity and the rest of the Federation would come to fruition, as newer, better ships would be constructed, utilising more advanced technologies and faster warp capabilities to increase their territory. As Starfleet would venture out further, more and more planets would become part of the Federation. Of course, this invitation to join the UFP would only be open to those who were warp capable. Within time, a new class of starship would be created, which for its era would be the crown jewel of the Federation. This would of course be the new Constitution class, of which 12 were built, but sadly only one would return after completing its mandate. This ship of course was the USS Enterprise NCC-1701, and because this ship was the last of 12 Constitution class vessels to return, the Enterprise would become the flagship of the Federations for many generations to come. In only a few decades of its return, and at long last a peace with the Klingons had been reached due to their moon Praxis exploding, making their homeworld uninhabitable, and the Romulans exiting galactic politics, which would keep themselves isolated for 70 years, a golden age for the Federation had come. But that is the topic of the next episode. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my PayPal or consider becoming a channel patron, the links to which are both in the description below. Live long and prosper, my truckies, and until next time, here in the Continuum.